Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and you're watching Easynomics, the show where we pick up subjects in economics which are meant for you, our viewer and consumer. On today's episode, we talk about the demand for a cut in the personal income tax system, rates and possibly other SOPs. This is a demand that has been raised by the Confederation of Indian Industry with the Finance Ministry as part of the pre-budget round of discussions that the government has with various stakeholders. And while this demand has been made by CII, the government obviously is in a silent period, and we'll only get to know what the Finance Minister and the government, Prime Minister Modi, thinks of these demands on the 1st of February. To decode the demand and whether it makes sense, at this point of time, I'm joined by noted tax expert and a partner at Deloitte, Saraswati Kasturi Rangan. Welcome, Saraswati, to Business Today Television. I want you to start by first taking up and explaining this point to our viewers. Why this demand now? There was a major corporate tax rate cut a few years ago, but there hasn't been a major tax rate cut when it comes to personal income tax rates. But is this demand valid from a longer income tax policy point of view?
So, well, Siddharth, I think you said it. While there have been reductions in the corporate tax rate and the maximum rate has been reduced to 25%, the maximum individual tax rate still continues to be at 42.74%, including the surcharge. And if you look at it even at lower levels, the 30% kicks in under the regular tax regime after 10 lakhs, right, which is not a big amount. If you look at it from a salaried class perspective, the standard reduction also is not a significant amount. It's 50,000, but we've had many of the deductions which were available earlier in terms of medical conveyance and all that given a go by. The government also introduced the simplified personal tax regime under which the tax rates are slightly lower, but the expectation is that the tax rates would be reduced significantly before the deductions are given away. So, for instance, when the corporate tax deductions and exemptions were minimized, the tax rate was significantly dropped to 25%. I think there's a similar expectation from the individuals, and I think it's a fair ask.
Okay, you have given us several news points to discuss. My first sort of rapid fire question, if I may put it that way, is at 42.7% peak incidence, including of all cesses and surcharges, how do we compare with global income tax rates on the personal side?
I think we are definitely on the higher side. I think the closest one would be UK. US also has dropped rates. If you look at the Asian countries, Singapore rates are much lower. Hong Kong, for instance, is at 15% and so on. So we are really on the expensive side. UAE, if you look at it, there are hardly any corporate individual tax. So it does, in a way, incentivize people to stay in non-residents and source their incomes from overseas, which does not augur well from a long-term perspective for India. I think we need to take a balanced approach there.
Saraswati, several decades ago, and I don't know if you were practicing then, I don't think so, we had a tax rate which was above 100% in a way. I mean, the total incidence was above 100%, and that led to the birth of black money. At 42.7% at the peak incidence, would I say that we have achieved progress, or is it still a halfway house when it comes to having a rational and moderate income tax regime?
I think we have progressed in a digitization way. So the income tax department is now able to track any non-disclosure. The annual information statement is very detailed. So I think we are in a situation where through digitization and through ensuring that there is information that is connected, no non-disclosure is significantly reduced. But there are still genuine methods of tax planning, right? I could shift residence and I could no totally operate from outside in a neighboring country and so on. While there are provisions which say if business is controlled from India, there could still be a taxation that is attracted. If I am totally non-resident, then I could still no not pay taxes in India. Why do we incentivize people to move base from India? We should invite people and make sure that there is an attractive tax rate. I think if we keep it reasonable, people are happy to pay taxes in India. That's my sense.
Almost 15, 16 years ago, India made an attempt to simplify its income tax law. The current one dates back to 1961, and I am yet to meet even a tax expert who can easily recall all the amendments that have happened. And there is at least one major amendment in the form of the budget that happens every year.
Every year.
We have not managed to get a direct tax code, which is to simplify the code. We haven't also, when we talk to government, they say that we are not an oil economy, we are also not an advanced economy, and our growth rates still need to go up in terms of both tax buoyancy. So would I be right in saying that while the taxman has widened his net, he does 360-degree profiling, he has all manner of technical tools, everything is tracked, but it is the middle class which is being trapped because the rates are high?
I would say so. In fact, the government's answer to that was to come out with a simplified tax regime, but where the tax rates are slightly lower.
But that's a complete failure.
Absolutely. Under the simplified tax regime, individuals are not able to claim even housing deductions, right? No HRA benefit. I'm not able to claim a deduction for housing. So, in a way, it's not forward looking. And traditionally, in India, savings have, right or wrong, been fueled by tax exemptions, right? And added to that, we've also seen taxation of Provident Fund contributions. Agreed, it's certain beyond a certain limit, but these have been the only limited tax exempt avenues for retirement savings. So I would say overall the middle class could be a little upset.
I was always told, as I started learning whatever little I know about taxation as a reporter and as a student earlier to that, that direct taxes are progressive and indirect taxes are regressive. We have a situation now where income tax rates are not low and indirect tax rates are pretty significant, especially at the higher end of the slab. So would I be right in saying that it is a double whammy for the Indian middle class? You pay on your income and then you continuously pay on your spending as well.
Well, that is true, and I would say that the whatever limited avenues we had for saving and for exemption, those are also being curtailed, right? So in a way, yes, savings and investments don't have as much tax incentives as was there earlier.
Axing the tax always has political ramifications also, Saraswati. You yourself would know that in the past certain major tax changes have also had one eye on politics, and given the present situation, this will be the budget that is given before next year's election. Practically the last full-fledged budget of the second Modi government, because the budget that is presented in 2023, regardless of whatever way we do it, it will essentially be interim in nature. Do you think a tax rate cut in political timing terms makes sense on 1st February 2023 or a statement of intent on 1st February 2024?
I think whenever there is a benefit it's given, people would like to discount it. So it's always better to give it then and there rather than show it as a statement of intent. And I think in terms of statement of intent, when there is a simplified tax regime, there has always been a carrot already shown. So maybe it's time for us to relook at the rates, would be my take.
Would I be fair in saying that the direct tax code is now a dead tax code?
We are not hearing about it, Siddharth. I agree. We know when I talk about the labor codes, when you said code, we are talking about the labor codes and we are yet to see that implemented. So maybe I think we should start implementing where things, efforts have already gone in. But yes, simplification of tax regime is something that would definitely be welcome.
One of the things that government people tell us, oh, we could have considered a tax rate cut or tax moderation, simplification, SOPs, had COVID not happened. Do you buy that argument?
I think the economy has bounced back after COVID. So, and if you see in terms of the performance of corporates and so on, and in terms of the tax collections, these have been buoyant. So, maybe now we should leave COVID behind and travel forward.
My final question to you, if you were designing tax changes on the income tax side for 1st February 2020-23, what would you announce?
I would possibly make the simplified tax regime really attractive by providing the tax rates which know the mass really aspire for, and also look at simplifying the provisions. For instance, while the tax return documents are supposed to be simplified over a period of time, honestly, it is still a task for the commoner to file his or her own tax return. Uh, so I think these are the two things that I would look at.
One quick follow up on that. Is it normal to have a situation where the peak rate of corporate tax is actually lower than personal income tax, that companies which earn super profits and are able to claim depreciation benefits and write off a lot of expenditures and also accommodate losses, and in a situation in India you have personal income tax, salaried individual taxpayers and other taxpayers who are covered by PIT pretty much paying much higher than the corporate side?
I think that is the ask from the individuals as well, that when there has been a dip in the corporate tax rate, but agreed there has been the allowances and the reductions which have been done away, but maybe there should be a similar follow through action that happens on the individual tax side as well. So yes, reduction of rates is something which individuals can look forward to, but keeping fingers crossed there.
Okay, very final question. What are the chances of anything on this front on 1st February 22? 0 to 10 scale, 10 being highly possible and 0 nothing possible.
I wouldn't really want to take a guess. We can only hope for things in the budget. I think when we ask, we can always ask for the moon, but we'll have to wait and watch, because all of these do have the ramifications in terms of the tax collections that the government has. Honestly, I wouldn't want to take a guess.
All right, Saraswati, I know it's difficult to guess on such a subject, but this is a subject that a lot of people will be looking forward to very, very keenly. The 9th year of the Modi government in the second iteration, the 4th one, and the year before the next general elections. Will the finance minister take an axe to the tax that you and I pay? That's the big question, and we'll keep discussing this with many more experts in the days and weeks ahead. Saraswati, thank you very much for your time. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Easynomics. See you again soon. Bye-bye.